Hello, true believers. This is BebotsOnly, and I am doing another bootleg Gundam review. Why do I like bootleg Gundams? Because number one, they're very affordable. Number two, they're just as fun as much fun putting together as the original. I put together the original as well as the bootlegs, and I find them both of them both very enjoying and satisfying. Of course, there are big differences between the original and the bootlegs, which we will get into later. So first thing I want to say is I want to apologize for it's been like I think 5 or 6 days since I've last uploaded. It's just real life has kept me busy, and everybody knows that YouTube is just a hobby. So of course, real life takes precedence over my online hobby of doing YouTube. As much as I enjoy it, I still have to prioritize my time, especially right now, since I've been indisposed for almost 3 years, and I'm still, especially with the holidays, has kept me very busy. Oh, let me tell you an interesting story. So one of the things that I'm doing in real life is I'm slowly trying to get back into shape after being in this perpetual veal farm where they just soften you up, where you have no exercise for 3 years. I'm trying to slowly get into exercising again. So me and Hero were at the gym, and there wasn't that many people there, and uh, and it's the world has changed since last I was out, and one of the things that is required is face masks wherever you go. No face mask, no entrance. And it's difficult to wear a face mask when you're in the gym. It's hard to breathe when you're exercising. So there were times where I would put my face mask down or take it off or let it hanging in one ear while we're exercising. Me and Hero are exercising. The interesting part is there was a time there wasn't that many people. There was like two other girls in the gym. They were probably like in their early 20s. They were cute, and but we were just there to. I'm not really there to pick up on girls, especially not at this point. I'm not in any shape or form. I but but they were there, and me and Hero were going through our exercise, and then all of a sudden, one of the girls starts approaching me, and it looked like she had something she wanted to ask or something important to say, and I just looked up and I said, what is it? Can I help you with something? And she just wanted to let me know that I needed to wear my mask appropriately and while in the gym. So I thought it was going to be something else, but it was just that. So yeah, you could say in my old age I've lost my touch, or I've lost it. Period. Anyway, that's just an interesting side story. What's going on in my real life, and to follow up on that. So from the gym, I could see like the parking lot. So the girls eventually left. They weren't there that long. It looked like they were sisters. They looked like in a similar. They had the very. I mean, they were thin. So it looked like but they don't like thin. Not working out a lot thin, but just thin. Like it's in their genes to be thin because they're both of them. Anyway, so on their way out the parking lot, there are a couple of cars there. Like I said, it was at that time of day where there wasn't a lot of cars. There wasn't a lot of people, and the car they went to was an MG, and me and Hero were laughing. Well, that explains a lot, because if I had an MG, I'd be kind of upset or triggered or anal retentive also if I was driving an MG. And if you don't know what an MG is, it's actually a Chinese car, but it's a Chinese company that makes Chinese cars. But what they did was they bought the MG brand from the British company MG, so they just used the brand name, but and maybe they borrow like all technology the Chinese borrow. It's just the quality is always in question when it comes to, and when it comes to Chinese products, I'm okay with their phones. I'm even okay with their laptops and other technologies. But when it comes to cars and their reliability, I don't think I can make that leap yet. So anyway, just a side story. Let's get back to the. I'm gonna try to do this in one take with this phone, this cell phone, this hand me down. It's actually a Huawei, and it's pretty good. I've been using the internal memory, so all the all the files have been saved so far. I think it was the SD card, the external memory that I was using that became corrupt. Go figure. So far so good. And I don't think I'll be going to the back to the conventional camera again, since cameras now these days, phone cameras have gotten so good that it's kind of like a convenience versus function. And I love the convenience of being able to whip out my cell phone and not having to carry up another cell phone and extra batteries and extra SD cards. Just the convenience outweighs now that the very little advantage of a standalone camera gets. I mean, I still want to use a standalone camera, like my if I ever get my Canon back for special events like Heroes Sports and football. But when it comes to general stuff like this or vlogging daily, I think the phone is probably my best bet. So I'll probably be looking at other Chinese phones like Huawei or Xiaomi or Vivo even. So they've gotten a lot better. So I'll do my research, and when it's time for me to get a phone with a high, I'll get something with like 128 gigs, so I don't run out of memory right away. So I have some room to work with. So eventually I'll work with that. But right now, so far, this phone is working fine. But eventually I want to upgrade. But right now I have so many expenses right now that's kind of the on the bottom of my list. Remember, I have this list that I'm always talking about, and that I always say. Somebody asks me something, I never say no. I always just say it's on my list. It's on the list, and depend where it is on the list. I don't know. I can't tell you. All I can say is it's on the list. Anyway, so let's go. Let's get back to this review. I built this while I was in prison. I was able. Yes, it's kind of contraband, but I was able to sneak it in. I made friends with the personnel there, and they allowed me to bring something like this, so I have something to keep me busy. For I was actually in two places. My first 7.5 months was at a short-term facility. It's called like a detention, where that's where people kind of initially go, and then they go to the medium term, which is the second part of my journey. So I was actually detained in two different places. This one, the best thing about the first place I was at, they were more relaxed with their rules in terms of bringing in things like this. So but don't think it's still a vacation. There was a lot of things that are horrible about the place, which I will probably go into like a 7-hour live stream. I will talk about being locked up abroad in a third world country and the conditions and how inhumane it is. But the important thing is I survived, and I'll talk about it after one of my live streams. Anyway, let's get back to this review. I forgot I bought this like I think 5 years ago, and I eventually I ran out of time to be putting Gundams together because I had visitors coming and visiting me on a monthly basis, almost on a weekly basis, depending on the time of year, and vlogging about doing bootleg Gundams I was doing as something to pass the time. Because when you're in the Philippines, it's finding hobbies to keep you kind of occupied and kind of keep you creative is one of the challenges. And these are one of the things I just kind of like to mix it up between Heroes football, doing my vlogging, doing the other social aspects that I'm doing, and doing this also. I think it's interesting, the engineering that goes into them, the detail that goes. It's quite interesting and both fascinating at the same time. Especially, I mean, who doesn't like robots? If you're a guy, in terms of things that you're interested in, cars, robots, robotic cars, gadgets. So these are one of the things that I find interesting and putting together, and the detail, and I like the progress. Anyway, I bought this at the Mall 168. I did videos about it a while ago, and then I I I did a vlog, and of course the vlog was deleted where I talked about the price. I can't remember what the price is, but usually a third or one fourth of the cost of the real thing, depending on if you're buying in bulk or wholesale or not. So let's get on to the review. So the first thing, so I can't remember the price, but you can pick it up at, I picked it up Mall 168 5 years ago. Are they still available? I don't know. There's probably a lot of new models out there right now. I don't know what they are. I would love to do a Mall 168 update, but for the next 6 months to a year, I think because of the pandemic, it's kind of not something that traveling to Manila is not something that I want to do at the moment. So here we go. It took a 10-minute intro to get to the review here. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the box, and then we'll talk about the accessories and the manual. So the box is pretty big, but the Sazabi box is actually bigger. What's nice about this is, so this is the perfect grade 160 scale model of the Strike Fighter GAT X105. I don't know. This is a Daban, so Chinese knockoff. So I don't know if these are actually accurate. I don't know enough about the original to know if they're actually. Sometimes they use a different name to try to get around copyright. But this is I think Strike Gundam. So I'm sure somebody will in the comments will correct me. Everybody's a know-it-all when it comes to the comments. So you have this pose over here where he's got these two knives, and they call them Schneiders for some reason. It just, I don't know. The Japanese like to use like Spanish and foreign names on certain things, so they call them Schneiders. I thought they just look like blades. So, but I actually have them right here. We'll get into that after I finish the box. So you got Chinese lettering over here. Then it says here the specifications: weight 64.8 tons, height. So I mean, but like I said, this is a 160 scale. So this, if in actual real life, this was how big it's supposed to be. But it's a cool picture. The pose right there. I'm sure you could pose it. This thing is very posable, but I wouldn't try it. But I'll explain that in a minute. Let me talk about the box over here. So he's got this. Talk about the picture over here. It's got hold on, let me fix the light. Got this rudimentary light over here, so excuse the setup, but it does the trick. So you got this Grand Slam in the picture. He's got his two knives, and then he's got this pose. It's very posable. So Strike Fighter, Strike Gundam. Let me see if I can get an angle of the reflection over there. There's some pictures. There's the cockpit, the pilot in there, the accessories, the hand. It's very articulate, the hand, and they got these parts that kind of open up, like right here by the shoulder, to show you kind of like the inner workings, and his beam rifle. So it's very detailed. Let's look at the other side. It says just here, Strike Fighter Omni Enforcer Mobile Suit, GAT. I don't know if that stands for something, Gundam something TX105. I'm just guessing. So same thing over here. I'm trying to see what else is on the other side over here. It's pretty much not much to it. And there's the back of the box. So it's a pretty big box. Significant. So that's the end of that. That's the end of that box review. So let's get to I'm going to try to finish this before my limit here, my phone limit. So here's the manual. It's if you put together Gundams before, they're pretty easy to follow. They're pretty detailed. The bootleg just pretty much copies the original by Daban or Bandai. So here's the manual, and here's some schematics. So here's all the different parts, all the different, I think what I call them runners. And what do we usually start with here? Oh, the feet. So I, like a lot of the modelers, I kind of adopted the way they put together. I start with the feet also. So you're slowly building up to the waist and the torso. So it's kind of fun putting the two legs together. When it comes to putting together which parts that I like putting together the most, I usually like putting the head and the chest and the waist together. I find that enjoying it. Well, the feet and the arms, they kind of get repetitive. And it's like, okay, do the right side first, the left side first. So they're fun, but if I had to pick which one's my favorite in terms of putting together, I love putting the torso, the middle, the midsection, and the head together. It just the progress when it starts coming together. So it's, if you put these together, they're easy to follow. So as you can see, this part swivels up right here. And just to show you the inner workings, the detail. So this kind of like a shame, like a lot of the detail that they put in there. It's like they put so much detail in and then to have it covered is kind of a shame. So they try to open it up, but it's fun, still fun when you're putting it together. When I used to put Gundams together, I would do like work in progresses just to show you the detail before you cover it up with the body armor. So that was kind of fun to do. Okay, before I cover it up with the body armor, this is what it looks like inside, the work in progress. And I love to show the little details, to show the inner workings. So here's we're getting to the waist area, and then we get to the torso. Then as you can see, it's slowly putting together. Love that part. Then working on the head. Love working on the head and seeing its personality and then its accessories. Love the detail. I love putting together perfect grades. I love the detail, and I especially loved it, because I was in prison and this was the only thing keeping me it's keeping me from going insane, maintaining my sanity. So it's all about keeping your mind from driving itself crazy. So when I was working on these, I wasn't thinking of anything else. I was just focusing on this. And so that way I can survive. The key to being locked up abroad is survival. So this has saved my life. So I try not to rush through it. I try to savor every moment. I only work on it a little bit at a time. So try to extend it for 2 weeks. So what would normally took me 3 days to do this, I extended it to a week. So that way I have always something to look forward to, something to do every day, some kind of hobby. So that's what the instruction manual looks like. So that's what accessories look like. So and then there's this other additional pamphlet. It's not really an instruction manual. It's kind of more of a like a magazine type of to show off the features. The head unit, the cockpit. This is Hero's favorite. He loves seeing the little guy in there. I don't know if you can appreciate that. The pilot in there. He always wants to see that. He's fascinated by it. Oh look, there's like to add realism to the robot, and imagine like, okay, if that was you, that's how small you would be to fit in there. And the arms, it's the fingers are very articulate. Grand Slam, armor Schneider, as they call it. It's got the shield, beam rifle, and these are the different poses. And look, you can see the knee is double jointed, and you can see like the parts, the shoulders open up, and the leg, the calf area is open up. This is where you put your knives. So you can actually take off the armor, his helmet, and kind of open this all up so you could see all the intricate details, especially the legs. So I'm just showing you, the reason why I'm showing you these pictures instead of on the actual unit is because that's the biggest disadvantage of bootlegs, is the plastic. Especially this thing is so old that it's crispy. The plastic is crispy that you just breathe on it and it will fall apart, or it'll break, or it will. So you really have to handle the plastic or handle it with kid gloves. So after you put it together, this is it. You slowly, if you handle it any more than just after putting on the accessories, you're gonna break it. It's gonna fall apart, and while you're trying to put it together, It's either going to fall apart, and while you're trying to put it together, it's going to break on you. It's going to, the plastic is so brittle that like you just look at it. You don't even have to breathe on it and it'll fall apart. So it's check out his Grand Slam, how he holds it. So you could pose it like that. You could do it with the original, but you can't do it with the bootleg because the plastic is inferior. So that's the biggest disadvantage when it comes to bootleg, is there's no posability whatsoever. The fit and finish is not exact because it's a copy of the original. So it might be either too tight or too loose versus the original is just right. Even the original has its problems also. So if it has problems with the original, then it definitely has same problems with the bootleg. So and then over here is the diagram where you put the stickers. So more pictures. So this is what it looked like if you put the stickers. Now here's another issue with the bootleg. I don't know if the original has the same problem. Is so you got these set of stickers, but they're so cheap and they're so lame looking that if you put it on, they just kind of start peeling off right away. So you got this cheap plastic stick on. It's not like the water decals or decals as people like to mispronounce it, I think. I always say decals, but if I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. Maybe it's French when they say decals and they want to just sound French. But anyway, I would want to sound French. So he got this. What is this? Gressorial Armament Tactical Series. So you got this Omni Enforcer. I don't know what. I'm sure somebody in the comments will say Omni stands for some observational something national institute. Observational mechanized national. I'm just guessing. So you can add these stickers, but it's just gonna start peeling off right away even after you put it on, and it's just low quality stickers. I don't know if the original is like that, but I wouldn't put these on. They're just gonna make it look worse than make it look better. So some of the other things it came with is like this battery with these small LED lights and a screw. And I remember when I was putting it together, I said, you know what, I didn't even bother because it's such a it's so you could see the eyes light up. It's just the eyes are just, if you look at it, it's just so small and tiny that, and there's like the sticker behind it that you barely see it light up. So I didn't even bother. I mean, if you want to chase after it, it was just like is the slide worth the climb? And in this case, I didn't want to bother. And I know probably the battery's probably already dead, but since it's just LED, it doesn't take up much of power. So I didn't bother. But there's a screw there, a couple of springs, and LED, and I think you could put it in. There's like I'll take a look at it again once we start looking. But LED is available if you're one of those people that want the eyes to light up. It's available, but like I said, I didn't really chase after it that much. So let's get to the accessories here. These are his armor Schneiders. It's supposed to rip apart armor. So it's actually it's foldable. Here we go. Let me fold it. See, I don't even want to risk it. Anyway, it folds. It's supposed to fold, but I can see it now. I'm trying. It's kind of tight. I'm trying to fold it, and it breaks in half. Okay, so big disadvantage of bootleg. And yeah, I'm sorry about the nubs, but I didn't have really. I was limited with what I could use where I was at the time. So yeah, there's your nubs. So excuse the nubs, but they're there. So just try to ignore them. So there's two of them, and what you could do is you could actually put them in here and store them in there, but I didn't really bother because this wasn't something that I wanted to pose them. But you can pose them like this if you want. And then here's the big pièce de résistance, is the Grand Slam. So this thing is massive. I mean, it looks like a butter knife. You could use it to eat breakfast and cut your pancakes with and your sausage. So it's there. It folds up right here. I'm not sure why, but it's pretty solid. It's pretty stable. So it's nice and straight, as you could see. There's no the nubs. We got maybe like a few nubs here, but I like the chrome looks good. You wouldn't be able to discern from the original. It's got these little grooves inside for him to hold on to. I think because there's pegs in the hands. So there's his biggest accessory, the Grand Slam. So he could be coming at you with this thing, but I prefer just the regular his setup right here with his beam rifle and his shield. So let's get to the actual mobile suit himself. So I'm not going to be able to show you what the posing is, what the articulation is. There's plenty of videos out there that probably show you, but I just wanted to share with you that my own personal experience that I actually had with a Daban perfect grade 160 scale strike Gundam. So let's take a look at it. As you can see, that it looks almost just like the real thing. You know, if you don't move it around that much, if you start moving around, things are going to start falling off on it. Things are going to start breaking. So this, like I said, this thing is so old that all I could do is just kind of show you. It's for display only. It's for posing only. But let's get to the feet. So usually they have some kind of detail at the bottom of the feet. Yeah, there you go. As you can see, the different colors. I mean, this is what's great about these models is they put so much detail in things that you normally wouldn't see. Like look at the separation and the colors and the joints. So there's a joint right there. So the heel and the front of the forefoot and this collar on the foot actually move. And look at the side, and that thing actually opens up. And there's like a piston here. And it's actually, I don't know, I can open that up. There, it's like you can see there's like a piston there to show you that there's like the silver part in it. Like I said, I wish I could, when I was putting this together, I could show you the work in progress before you put the covers on it so you could see the little intricate details. And there's even one inside here also. So, I mean, so it's there, and even in the knee, when it opens up, it slides forward, up and down. So it's the articulation of the mechanism is amazing. It's well done, but like I said, I couldn't. The way the knee moves up when it articulates was a neat effect, but couldn't show it to you right now because it would just break it. So that's just the leg, and here's the waist area. And all the skirts, the side skirts, they move. They're on joints. So let's look at it from the back. So, okay. So you can see his calf area. So these things kind of prop open also. So you could see I think he's got some rocket boosters underneath there. Like so. Here's what the back looks like. So you can see the little vents in there. I think this pops down so you could put the rifle, like this is like the holder. So this is where he puts it. And over here there's actually, I think you could remove this. So there's a part there where you could put the Aile strike. I actually have the Aile striker over here. Aile striker, but I'll do a separate review of that after I'm done with this. I've only got like a few more minutes before this thing shuts off and reboots again. So this is what the back of the arm looks like. I think this is where you could put the shield, like over here. Hold on, let me get the light in there. So it fastens itself pretty good, the shield, onto the arm. So there's these fasteners. Now, I don't know if I could. Yeah, no, never mind. So let's keep looking at the back. This is where the Aile strike, I think, attaches somewhere. I think you could remove this or something. You could remove something here. There's what the back of the head looks like. Here's the rear camera. Here's what the shoulder looks like. Like I said, these things open up, which I wouldn't bother. Like I said, it's for display only. But here we go. We can take a look at this gun. Look how it's nicely detailed. You look at the scope. It's got the little clear blue plastic in there, and this thing moves. Yeah, this thing is articulate, but nicely detailed. The gun is nicely detailed, and his fingers wrapping around on it, so each finger actually moves. It's on a, it's articulated, just like his hand over here on the shield, right there. So this cockpit actually opens up. You push this open and you push this down and you push this out. So you look at the vent here. You can see, you can look inside the vent. And let's zoom in on his face. You could actually, so see if we could put, if you could see the stickers. I think I kind of put it around. Hold on, somebody's calling me. Might be important. Let me stop this and I'll continue. It's 31 minutes anyway. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I had to take that call. So let's go ahead and continue with the shield over here. This is what the shield looks like from the back. There's this shield glass over here that you could actually look through and protect yourself and look behind the shield. So that's kind of cool. You know, there's lots of opportunities to panel line, but I usually don't like to panel line bootlegs, but you can if you want. I think the lines are pretty defined enough, but usually they're not. And if they're not, the panel lining kind of runs all over the place, but there's opportunity there to panel line. So you got all these little details over here, the separation of colors. So look at his face. You can even see his little gills in front, his eyes, his Vulcan cannons on the side of his face. And then look at his B-fin antenna, and you got the front camera. It's a clear plastic. So look at the rest of his head on top. Looks good. As you can see, the fit is pretty good, almost like the original. I mean, as long as you don't move it, you wouldn't be able to tell, and as long as you don't put on the cheap stickers, you wouldn't be able to tell that it's a bootleg. So my final thoughts on this, I highly recommend it. If you have some time to kill and you enjoy robots and you enjoy putting models together, if you like model airplanes, model cars. When I was younger, I put model cars and airplanes together. You're going to enjoy putting this model robot together. The detail that goes into it, and the biggest downside of it is if you buy it original, it gets pretty expensive. Something like this probably will cost, I don't know, my best guess would be $200 or $300, maybe $200. But you could pick it up for like 20 something bucks as a bootleg, which is no downside. So if it breaks, then you're only out 20 bucks. And it's good if you're one of these people that like to customize and you don't want to really use the original, or you want to what they call kit bashing, and they do all these, they alter different parts, and you don't want to really do that with an original, then this is definitely something that a very good option. But if you just want to fool around and just, you're not really a serious collector, but you just want to, like me, I'm not a serious collector. Once I put it together, I could really care less if somebody wants to buy it from me, for make me an offer, I would gladly give it to them. So right now, if somebody wants to buy this and just pay for shipping and handling, I would be more than happy to send it to them so they can enjoy, so they can maybe customize it, maybe do their own kit bashing. I already got my enjoyment out of it already, of putting it together. Right now it's just collecting dust and taking up space And like I said, I don't really want to articulate it, start moving parts around, because then it'll get loose. It'll start falling off. It'll start popping out. Next thing you know, I only got one hand to use. I got the camera on the other hand, and I'm not going to be able to put it together properly. So none of that nonsense. When it comes to bootlegs, you just enjoy putting it together and enjoy the work in progress. After that, you pose it the way you just want to display it, and there it is. I just pose it with his beam rifle and with his shield. Some people, if you like the armor, the knives, or the Grand Slam, be my guest, knock yourselves out. Then pick one of these up if they're still available at your local Divisoria here in the Philippines. But anyway, that's my review of the Strike Gundam Perfect Grade 160 scale here in the Philippines. Like I said, I enjoyed putting this together. Highly recommend it. I think it's worth the bootleg price. As a disclaimer, of course, if you have the money, go ahead and get the original, support the people. But if you're like me, you don't have a lot of money, or you're not serious about it, you just want to, this is kind of like, these bootlegs are kind of a gateway drug. If I really had the money, then I would get the originals. But like I said, I've got so many other things that need my money, and since money is such a finite resource that I can't allocate the money towards it. But as you could see, look at the spacing, the fit of there's no like serious gaps or anything like that. It was well put together. I don't see any serious flaws. I mean, look at how the armor kind of fits together nicely. I mean, even like this part right here, you really can't tell that there's like a seam right there. It's there, but it's not that noticeable. I mean, in the original, I'm sure there's a seam there also. But if you look at how it fits together nicely. Very solid, very heavy. Oh, sorry. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, so comparison time, size comparison time. So this is the 160 scale. So the first thing I want to is the 144 scale. So this is the Trans Am Exia. So look how tiny that thing is. So I love the size of this perfect grade. I love the big pieces. That's one of the things I hate about the real grade. The real grade is the same scale, but so much detail, but the pieces are so tiny. I really hate working with these little tiny pieces and you're putting it together. Yes, it's very detailed, but it's so small. And you can't really appreciate it like you do with a big perfect grades. So out of all the different sizes, I love perfect grades the most. I put together a 00 riser perfect grade. And this is my second perfect grade. I enjoyed them both. I would love to get the perfect grade of the Exia and do an Exia repair, but that's on my list to do right now. So that's the size comparison time. So size comparison time, 144 scale. Look how huge that is compared to the perfect grade. This is the small grade, whatever I forgot what 144 scale. And then the 1/100 scale, I have over here the Estrella Type F. I haven't reviewed this. I actually put this together also. This is also this one is a bootleg TT Hongley right there. And then the next one is the 1/100 scale Estrella Type F. I haven't done a review on it. I did a review of the regular Estrella, but I picked up one of these. I enjoyed it so much. I picked up an original Estrella. I enjoyed it so much. I picked up the Estrella Type F, so I didn't mind building it the same version again, but with a different color. And check out the size of this thing compared to the 160 scale. So I love the size. I love the detail, and just for size comparison, so you could see. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can get the better lighting here. Hold the light with one hand. And there. I need one of those ring lights around and a tripod. That's probably something I should look into, so I could just set the tripod and then I could just use both hands and the light. so would have no problem. But so that's what they are, size comparison time. So I almost forgot the size comparison. So that's what I've been up to. The next thing is I'm supposed to edit some hero football. I On my list of things to do, I'm supposed to create his own soccer channel. I probably will start doing that after Christmas right now, since Christmas is around the corner. Where pretty much I'm enjoying time with family. I'm enjoying my freedom. I mean, I survived a fate worse than death, so it's changed you. How does it change you? Well, I'd like to think that it's made me a better person, a father, a better husband, better lover, better friend. I don't know about better vlogger. I'd like to think that because you appreciate, of course, once you, I don't take things I used to take for granted. It might not seem like it because I haven't been doing much vlogging, but I, like I said, I have to prioritize. So right now I'm just carving out the time to do this to let everybody know, hey, I'm still here, I'm still hanging around, but you just have to excuse me. There's going to be a time where I'll get all caught up and I'll do more regularly. But in the meantime, here's my latest vlog, and it's a Gundam review. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, if you got a lot of other comments about what you think about this bootleg Gundam, did you have your own experience, what you liked, what you didn't like, please let us know in the comments. So this is my Gundam review of the perfect grade 160 scale Strike Gundam. Next is probably I'll be doing the Aile Strike. So check this out. So this is a 160 scale from Daban also. So you can make the Aile Strike Gundam. So I'll be doing that next. So sorry that my intro took this long. I just kind of used this opportunity to kind of get everybody caught up and where I'm at. And also, there's something really interesting happened with the previous video. I did this vlog on my motion for inhibition, and for like a week there has been no comments on it. This is like the first time. Even my most mundane videos, I would get some stupid comment here and there, some hate comment. But this is the first time I've ever experienced. I made this over like a vlog that's over 1 hour long about my experience with one judge over here, and there is like no comment on it whatsoever. So it's kind of scary, or not scary, but unusual, and hard to. It's I don't like it when things are silent. And then my mind starts saying, well, what? How come? Why? How come there's no comment right now? So I eventually I'll be doing a video of the Type F and Skygrasper Aile Strike, and I just wanted to make one more comment about how the last video I made just so far wasn't. Nobody has said anything about it. So maybe I will probably in my next live stream I will probably touch on the discussion. I'm sure there are, some people have a lot of questions, and maybe they just don't they don't want to post a comment, which is really not something you can discuss. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of things to discuss, and that's probably the reason I'm assuming, since I haven't heard anything. When I don't hear anything or I don't know anything, then that's why I do a lot of assumptions. Is that people would rather discuss it than just comment on it. I'd be more than happy to discuss it in the next live stream. When that is, I don't know. If I get one, if I do one before Christmas, then I do one before Christmas. But if not, then we'll have to do it after Christmas. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this bootleg Gundam review, and I'll see you in the next video. This is BebotsOnly. Thanks for watching. Hello, true believers. This is BebotsOnly, and I am doing another Gundam bootleg review, and this time it is the Skygrasper and Aile Striker. I repeat, Skygrasper and Aile Striker, because there's actually two components over here, two parts. And there's the plain part, which is the Skygrasper, and then the Aile Striker, which is the wing component. They separate. And this is supposed to separate and become the wings of this perfect grade Strike Gundam over here. So Aile Striker, I think that's French for wing, I think. Aile. Somebody probably correct me in the comments. I could be wrong. But that's the name, Aile Striker Skygrasper. Or if they, it's English, but I'm sure if they say it in Japanese, or when they say the name, they'll say Skygrasper, something like that. Sorry, my Japanese accent is terrible. I probably offended a lot of Japanese by saying that. But that's okay, no one's watching this anyway, so what they don't know won't hurt them. So, before we get into the actual unit itself, let's get to the box. And I can't remember how much this cost, but it's usually a third of the price of the original, half to a third. So it's like if it's like $100, maybe it's like $30-$40 for the, so like $100 original. Let's say this is $100 for the original, then it'll cost you about $30 or $40 for the bootleg. And this is a Daban. It's kind of a play on Bandai, so it's like Daban, Banda, minus the I. So that's the Daban model. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this in one take. The kids are online class right now, which is online class. Let me tell you something about online class. It's not. I don't think. In my opinion, I don't think it's real, because if you look at the kids, if you actually sit there and study them, and they're on their computer or they're on their iPad. Well, Hero, he's on both. He has a desktop and an iPad and a cell phone, so you could do it in either of those three, but he has all three. And if you watch him, he's like, he has the online class on the desktop, but whatever he has on his phone or on his iPad is not necessarily. You could be watching YouTube. Others are on their, others are using their PlayStation, or they're playing on their PlayStation 4 at the same time they're playing. So it's too easy. It's too easy to get distracted. So it's not the same thing as regular face-to-face class learning. But anyway, while I have time and I got some daylight, I decided to go ahead and vlog. And I think I got another hour until I'm supposed to, the person that's supposed to install the new head unit on the Fortuner is coming this morning also. So it's a busy day. So I'm going to try to get this out of the way, so I have something to upload for you guys to watch. My next video, I will eventually go ahead and talk about one of the resolutions. So I have like two resolutions, one order, as you can see from my court hearings from my case. And I think it's time for me to read one of them. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to read to you the major points, major bullets from the resolution, because I think it's like 18-20 pages, which is a lot. So hold on a second, let me close the door. The door is opening accidentally because of the wind, and the online learning is just right next door, so I need to be right back. Okay, I shut the door because it wasn't shut the door completely all the way, and the wind was causing it to open and close. So back to the box. So as you can see from the box, it's got this box art. You got this Skygrasper, Aile Striker. Here's a Skygrasper by itself, and this is I think this is the Ptolemy. Somebody will correct me. So it's 160 scale model. So that's usually the perfect grade size, the perfect grade scale. The master grade or no grade is 1/100 scale, and then the high grade, the smallest one, or real grade, is usually 1 to 144 scale is the smallest. So let's finish up with the box. As you can see over here, it's got the perfect grade strike. Just like over here, I have the perfect grade strike. He's wearing the Aile Strikers to allow him to fly. So apparently he can't fly without these wings. So the Skygrasper brings it to him, and then they detach, and then they come together and form Voltron. But it's kind of, this box is misleading. They show you the perfect grade strike, And you would think, oh, is it in the box? No, it's separately. It should say separate. Oh, it says they're not included, but it's kind of misleading. So on the other side is just the same art. It's in Chinese. It looks like it's in Chinese. And the same thing over here. Oops. So that's a Skygrasper by itself with the Aile striker, and then it shows you the details of the engines in the back, and then so over here, so it shows you the like what the possibilities are. Let's see if I can focus better. I need both hands here. So if it's done well with panel lining, so this one is going to be completely out of the box because I did this while I was in prison. So, but you know, as you can see, they get all into detail with the lining and the shading, and a little bit of they'll do a little bit of weathering. So that's what it looks like with the display stand in the picture. You're telling us, oh, why are you showing us the picture? Just why don't you show the real thing? Okay, I just wanted to finish off with the box. And well, the real thing is not going to be as exciting as in the pictures. Focus. Because like I said, I put this together while I was in prison. So before we get into that, let's talk about some of the other things it comes with. Is the sticker sheet, and this sticker sheet is terrible because if you look at it, you can see like the outline on the sides, and they don't. Yeah, you can see there's like the little square outlines, so it doesn't look really good. The light shines badly off of the plastic, or the cheap plastic. So the water decals are actually the best. So I would love to put these numbers on it, but and you put it on, you can see the little outline, the little plastic outline, and then it starts peeling off, so it looks terrible. So if there's, it's not that big, as you could see, and it's not that much, so it doesn't really need it. And the fact that these are kind of cheap stickers that just kind of peel off after a while, it just looks terrible. So it's better to not put it on, and then put it on, then not put it on and put it on. So let's talk about what it comes with, the kind of accessories it comes with. So it comes with these two beam sabers, and it comes with this adapter. I think this one's an adapter for the shield. So you can hook on the shield. He has this shield over here that actually can hook onto the side. And then the landing gear, which I didn't really put on because I prefer just kind of like the clean look without the landing gear. If I do hold it, I would rather hold it without the landing gear, so it looks like it's flying, and it just looks cleaner. But the landing gear is there as an option. It comes with the pilot. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll paint these things. So there's enough detail in there. So I can macro right into it. So you could paint it. So that's the detail, or you can add detail to it. Got his helmet on. Then there's another pilot you could put in the back seat. I should have put this pilot in the back seat, but when I was doing the instructions, it didn't say put the pilot on in the back, put a second pilot on the back seat. So I just kind of left it out. So just one pilot in there. And then we have the stand. And I know you're probably asking, well, why haven't you assembled the stand? Well, because after I assemble it, I just don't have the space to display it. So I just kind of put it back in its box. So I really have no intention of displaying it at this point. So I didn't bother putting it on, but as you can see, it's got a pretty extensive display stand. So it comes with, I just want to show you what it comes with: stickers, the landing gears, extra pilot, beam sabers, and then we got this. Then let's go into the instruction manual. So as usual, the biggest advantage of this thing is the price, and you pretty much get a copy, but it's a copy of an original. It's not an original copy, so it's a copy from so it's not an original, it's a copy. So it's gonna have, and the quality of the plastic, is going to be inferior, especially how old this thing is. This thing has got to be like 10 years old by now. So the plastic, of course, is going to be brittle. So I'm not going to do much with it. It's pretty much when it comes to bootleg plastic, they're just for display only. So let's get to the instruction manual. So here's what it looks like, and it shows like the runners, and here's some line art there, how it's got the landing gear. So this is what the manual looks like. Starts out with the cockpit, then it goes with the ornament, then you get to the wings. So if you want to look at it, go ahead and pause right now. Like so, you put it together, and the cockpit. I'll show you most of the things, the articulation of it. Cockpit does open, and this cannon swivels, and these Skygrasper handles open up to hold his accessories. I think this one you can hold the gun and the shield. Here's the stand. So it's not that many parts. So here's some pictures of it. That's a mounting latch, beam cannon, thruster, nozzles. Yeah, gotcha. And here's it separated, and this is what it looks like. It's supposed to be when it's attached like that, and then if you want to make it look cool and display stand dynamic pose, it's gonna look like that. So you want it to look like that, and you can do it. It has the stand. It's pretty much complete once you get the perfect grade. But so here's a Aile striker, sword striker, accessories, launcher striker. So you can make the perfect striker. You could just pretty much add all this into one shoulder and this on the other shoulder, and pretty much one on one arm. You can't really, there's only one backpack at a time you can wear, so you can't be wearing all this stuff in the back. But he could definitely wear it on the shoulders and on the arms, and this one goes in the back. So that's what it looks like if we get the perfect grade striker. So more instructions over here. So let's focus. So this is the Aile striker instructions. So you look at that. Enjoy that. So it's got some articulation. The wing flaps kind of go up and down. And then here's with the landing gear. Not exactly. Oh, these are the beam sabers. So you attach them there. They actually go up. Looks like, yeah, you can have them turn up like that. So you can hold on to it. You can just grab it from his back. When you attach it, there's like this hole over here you attach it to. I'll show it to you where it goes, and then that's what it looks like if you have the wings folded down. And then this is what it looks like while he's flying with it. So here's the attachment, and and then here's where what it looks like if you put it on the stand with the shield on the side and the rifle on the other side. So that's where the attachments go. Here's the adapter, and here's where you apply the stickers, which look terrible. Ta-da! So here we got detail over here. So the pictures, air intake, got the pilot. Look at that. You can really go all out in terms of putting detail on the pilot, cockpit, thruster. Okay, so 20 minutes later, we actually get to the actual unit itself. So after we got through the accessories and the manual, ta-da! Here it is. Some switch hands. So this thing, as you can see, it rotates up, it twists. This actually rotates also up. So this is what it looks like from the top. This actually opens up. And like I said, I don't really want to move it around and show the articulation and attaching, because people have made other videos about it, so you can check those out. Sorry that my videos are, somebody said in the comments, my reviews are terrible. Yep, they are terrible. But they are my reviews, so we're just gonna have to deal with them. I mean, I used to go all out. I would take pictures and do work in progress. But like I said, I built this while I was in prison, so there isn't much I could do except put it together like completely out of the box. And I was space was very limited, so I had to work in cramped conditions, especially if you got like 150 people in like a room the size of most master bedrooms. So space was at a premium. So this was the best I could do at the time. Now, if you look at it, it's got great detail for panel lining, but I usually will go like with a lighter gray, but as you can see, it sticks out pretty much by itself. So I didn't bother panel lining it because I didn't want to make it. Sometimes if you panel line it, it just looked kind of toyish. And I usually go a light gray just to add some shadow. Let's look at the bottom. So this is, it's like the landing gear goes there. Landing gear goes there also. So some of the, look at the color separation over here. You got the yellow and the blue, and then here's the Skygrasper handles, and then the black and the red. Look, it's even got the little clear light indicators right there. So focus on that. So on the tips, just to let you know, hey, look, there's something flying in the air, and it's supposed to be like the blinking part. And these over here, these thrusters are on on joints that can articulate. So there's the yellow there. So there's a nice yellow there. So you got 3 colors pretty much when it comes to the Aile striker. Some a little bit of yellow there, mostly red and black. And these flaps actually move. Look at the thrusters in the back. It's pretty detailed, if you can see inside. There's some pretty good thruster detail in there. It's kind of hard to see, but there. So it looks like there's some kind of jet fan in there also over here. So there's a good amount of detail in there. It's just kind of hard to see here on video, but in person you could see it. There's actual separate pieces in there, like that. So it's attached pretty good. As you can see, it's pretty solid. It's attached. It doesn't really move around that much, but it could, once you start playing around with it, eventually the joints will get loose, it starts falling apart, starts popping. If you ever watch anybody do reviews on bootleg Gundams, the stuff starts popping off, flying off, breaking, falling apart. So I don't need to do that. I can just kind of show you that, just to prove what it looks like on hand and talk about my out of the box experience. And this was a lifesaver because it gave me a week of something to do and something to look forward to. So that's a week where I'm not sitting there driving myself crazy because I'm just focused on putting this thing together. So this thing just saved my life, literally. And as you can see, the fit is pretty good. There's no gapping, so it was able to copy the original pretty good. Like I said, I haven't really attached it. I'm just gonna put it back away in its box after this review because I have nowhere to display it. I have no room, and I'm pretty much, when I buy this, I just buy it for the experience of putting the model together. That's the most fun of it. After it's been put together, I don't really care what happens to it, since it's just, I'm not a hardcore collector for originals or do any of this customizing when people really get into it. For me, I just want the experience of putting something together, and after that there's really nothing much for me to get out of it. So like, look at that pose right there, having it come out you like that. I almost want to put the stand together so I can take a picture of it like that, but it's okay, you get the idea. So what is it in terms of scale? So now you get to see all the little intricate details. See there. So you got the cockpit over there. You got the Aile striker, the Skygrasper. Here's the wings. Here's the beam saber handle where it's supposed to attach to. These beam sabers are supposed to attach to. So the purpose of the video is just to show you what it looks like on my out of the box in hand, and share what I thought about the experience with it. Like I said, it feels, when I put together originals before, feels just the same, except the fit is not exact, but you can work around it easily. Sometimes it'll take a little pressure. It's either too tight or too loose. If it's too loose, then you just glue it down with super glue. If it's too tight, I have sand. I can sandpaper it down the where they connect the peg and hole. I can modify the peg and hole, or just add a little extra pressure to it. Usually I'll use like a vice grip to really get it to lock in together. Once it's locked in together, it's never gonna come apart. I use vice grips to gently squeeze it together, but you kind of run the risk of breaking it if you use that. So you have to really gently squeeze. It's a squeeze. So then once you feel it, you can have a feel before the plastic gives and breaks. So this is the complement to the perfect grade strike Gundam. And before we get into more, let's do size comparison. This is the no grade 1/100 F type. And I think I don't know exactly what grade this one is, because it's another third party, but here's the Gundam. That's my favorite gun. So that's what they look like together. And then here's with the perfect grade strike Gundam together. And most of you are probably saying, yeah, go ahead, detach it, put it together. No, I'm not gonna do that. It's a pain. I really don't have the patience right now to put it together. I like it the way it is. Like I said, I'm only after it. If you're just like me, you got some time to kill. Well, I had a lot of time to kill. And you just want to experience putting it together. And if you're cheap like me, well, I'm not cheap. It just depends on what it is that if I can get the same experience for a cheaper price, then yeah, get the Chinese version. I wouldn't do it when it comes to, I'll do it now when it comes to cell phones. Before, maybe 10 years ago, I would never buy a Chinese cell phone. But now, the quality and craftsmanship that goes into these Chinese knockoffs have greatly improved. That you're almost like 90% just like the original, except for the quality of the plastic. So like I said, I would never buy a Chinese car. I would buy the original Japanese car. So it's not like you wouldn't get the same thing with a Chinese car as you would do with the Japanese car. But with a Chinese knockoff, well, all you're after is putting it together, and I can put together cheap plastic. The experience will be just the same as the higher quality plastic, but plastic is plastic. So over time, they're both going to be brittle. And I have had experience with originals being brittle also. So the experience is the same thing for me. It doesn't bother me that it's not an original, because like I said, it feels just the same. And if I can get the same value, same experience for a third of the price, that might be cheating. Then that's my explanation. But as a disclaimer, always buy the original, support the industry. And I know there's plenty of people that already do, and this is just a supplement for some people like me who are not really hardcore. This is kind of like the gateway drug into it. So you buy bootlegs first, then eventually, if you like it that much, then you'll buy the original. And usually what hardcore collectors, they do both. They'll buy the original and they'll buy these to do customs. So, or they call it kit bashing, or they want to do dioramas. So this is perfect for it, especially for the hardcore. The people who are hardcore are true fanboys. They'll buy the original, regardless of whether there's bootlegs or not, and what they'll do is they'll end up buying both. So it doesn't really hurt the industry to have these bootlegs, because I wouldn't buy them. I wouldn't buy the originals if they weren't available. It's just way too expensive, and like I said, it's not, especially at this point in my life, I'm not really spending that much money on originals was not a priority. But anyway, that's so. What's my final take on it? I highly recommend it. Like I said, if you're just you just want to sample it, see what it's like, want to see what a perfect grade feels like, putting together a perfect grade, then pick one of these up. And as you can see, if you don't look at it closely or you don't touch it that much, it's gonna look exactly like the original. And the people who know the original probably will appreciate the copy of it and how it's almost just like the original. Anyway, so that finishes my review. So let me know what you think. Did you pick one up? Is this something that convinced you that you try the bootleg? Do you have time for it, or do you just want to watch these videos instead so you don't have to do it? Then all of that is perfectly fine. Let me know in the comments, and I'll keep doing more Gundam reviews. This is kind of like my filler and the next one is going to be one of the court resolutions, one of my next videos. When I get to that, who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching. This is BebotsOnly.